In this video, I'm going to reveal 12 top wines that sell for around $30 per bottle in the United States. There's red wines, white wines, and a sparkling wine, and there's a variety of different countries and regions represented, so there should be something for everyone. Annoyingly, I recently discovered that the Tenuta San Guido's second wine, Guidalberto, has had a pretty significant price increase. And in fact, I did some searching on Wine Searcher, and it looks like for the 2022 vintage, the average price of Guidalberto, which is Sassicaya's second wine, is $82 per bottle, which is a massive increase from just last year, when you could often find the outstanding 2021 Guidalberto for only about $50 per bottle. As a result, I'm doing two things. First, I'm looking to see if I can find any more Guidalberto that's selling for around $50 in inventory channels, and if so, I'm stocking up on that and buying up all those bottles. But more importantly, on a going forward basis, I'm officially crossing Guidalberto off my buy list. Fortunately, however, there's still plenty of outstanding wines, even from Bolgheri, that sell for much less than even the original Guidalberto pricing. The first top wine for around $30 is one such wine. This is a wine that received 3 different 93-point scores from critics, including one from the Wine Spectator. And with the Wine Spectator's Top 100 list coming out, given the fact that they weight prices quite heavily in that analysis, it wouldn't surprise me if this wine appeared on their Top 100 list later this year. Specifically, I'm talking about the 2021 Castello de Bolgheri Varvara. This impressive wine is named after the grandmother of the current owner. This is a wine that's a Bordeaux blend that consists of around 55% Cabernet Sauvignon, 28% Merlot, 12% Cabernet Franc, and 5% Petit Verdot. This is a wine that, while it's quite impressive and enjoyable, it's still made in a style that's intended to enjoy when it's young. So you can definitely dig right in and start enjoying this one immediately. Of course, 2021 was an outstanding vintage in Bolgheri, so I definitely encourage you to try this one if you have any interest at all in Super Tuscan wines. This is a rich, full-bodied wine that has a seamless mouthfeel and refined tannins. Descriptors included black fruit, leather, licorice, and mixed spice. I'm also very curious to know your thoughts about this price increase for the Guidalberto wine. Is this still a buy at around $82 a bottle? Or is that wine dead to you as well, given this new pricing? Let me know in the comments below. The next top wine for $30 a bottle comes from iconic German producer Donnhoff. Donnhoff is located in the Langhe region in Germany, and this wine is the 2021 Donnhoff Oberhauser Leistenberg Riesling Kabinett. The name for this wine has an interesting backstory. In German, Leisten means achieve, and this is a wine that consistently delivers vintage after vintage. In addition, Lei is a word that's a regional term used to describe slate. And of course, it's the slate soils on the steep terrace vineyards that provide the ideal conditions for the production of high-quality Riesling like this one. 2021 was an impressive vintage generally in Germany, and this is a wine that was certainly well received by critics. This wine has impressive purity of fruit. It's an extremely age-worthy wine, but one that is also enjoyable now. This wine features descriptors that include white peach, lemon, green bell pepper, and yes, slate. It has racy acidity and alcohol by volume of only 8.5%. The next top wine for $30 a bottle comes from a legendary Spanish producer that's located in Rioja. This impressive wine comes from younger vines from this producer. That means that they still average an impressive 40 years of age. This is a vineyard that's certainly capable of producing Gran Reserva quality fruit, but because Lopez Heredia finds it extremely important to be able to produce a wine in the Crianza category, customers are actually getting incredible value when they buy the 2016 Lopez de Heredia Cubillo Crianza, which sells for around $30 per bottle and is definitely well received by critics. This is certainly a wine that compares favorably to many Gran Reservas. In fact, the aging regimen for this wine lasted 4 years, as they mature it for 2 years in used American oak, and then another 2 years in bottle before it's released. This is a wine that's a blend of Tempranillo, Mazuelo, Garnacha, and Graciano. The 2016 vintage was a little bit cooler than 2015, and so this vintage has definitely a little bit more freshness and acidity, which I certainly enjoy. Compared to the Tondonia bottling, this one is a little bit more rustic, but at half the price, you really can't go wrong. Of course, we have to have some French wines in this video, so next up is a wine from the Northern Rhone, more specifically from Saint-Joseph. This is the 2021 Francois Villard Saint-Joseph Poivre Sol. This is a wine that received a 92-point score from Decanter. It comes from Syrah, but a blend of Syrah. The vines that produce the fruit for this wine average around 20 years old, and they're planted on steep hillsides with east and southeast facing exposure. To produce this wine, they use 80% whole cluster fermentation, and they mature the wine in 2 to 4 year old oak barrels for around 15 months. This wine is aptly named as it has an intriguing black pepper descriptor that I really enjoy, but which has proven more elusive in Northern Rhone wines recently with some of the warmer vintages that they've experienced. This is a wine that you can enjoy immediately, but you can also let it age for a few years as well. So if you're a fan of Northern Rhone wines like I am, this is a pretty good option in terms of getting your Northern Rhone fix for a reasonable price point. From Saint-Joseph, we'll head south to Chateauneuf-du-Pape. It's a little bit unusual to be able to get a proper Chateauneuf for only $30 per bottle, but that is possible with this next wine, which is the 2021 Guillaume Gonnet Chateauneuf-du-Pape Bel Ami. This impressive wine is a blend that consists of 60% Grenache, 10% Syrah, and equal parts Cinsault and Mourvedre. This wine matures in a mix of large oak frutas and concrete. Descriptors include red cherry, red plum, garrigue, and mixed spice. It comes in at around 14.5% alcohol by volume. This is one that will definitely benefit from a couple years of additional bottle age, but it's one that will cruise in your cellar for 12 to 15 years or so. This is a wine that they produced in fairly large quantity, around 80,000 cases or so, and about 1/4 of that production is imported to the United States. So you should be able to track this one down with no difficulty. Of course, wines at the $30 price point are wines that can be cellar defenders for many of my viewers. This next wine is one of my favorite cellar defenders, and it's a wine that helps me from digging into some of my favorite Nebbiolo-based wines from Barolo and Barbaresco way before I should. I'm talking about the Vietti Langhe Nebbiolo Perbacco. Of course, Vietti is one of the top producers in Barolo. They make some high-quality single vineyard Barolo, as well as a classic Barolo, both of which cost much more than this wine. The Langhe Nebbiolo Perbacco from Vietti is an impressive wine that sells for as little as $25 to $30 per bottle. I enjoyed this one most recently at the Hollywood Bowl when I had it during a concert. This is a wine that comes in at around 14% alcohol by volume. It opened up fairly quickly on a pop and pour. Descriptors included wild cherry, raspberry, dried roses, and mixed spice. You can enjoy this one immediately, but it's also capable of aging for at least 5 to 8 years as well. So it gives you lots of flexibility in your cellar. A couple weeks ago, I released a video with some of my favorite Spanish wines, but I actually neglected to include a wine from one of my favorite producers in Rioja, namely Remelluri. So today I'm making up for that. So the next top wine for around $30 per bottle comes from Remelluri, and this is the 2019 Remelluri Lindes de Remelluri La Bastida. The fruit for this wine comes from selected parcels from growers that are located in the village of La Bastida. The vineyards are planted at elevations ranging from 440 to around 710 meters above sea level. This is a wine that comes in at around 14% alcohol by volume. This wine is fermented with native yeast, and it's matured in a variety of oak barrels for around 13 months or so. This is a vibrant Rioja with black cherry, balsamic, mixed spice, and pepper notes. It's one you can enjoy immediately or over the next few years or so. If you're interested in wine recommendations, wine collecting strategies, and learning more about wine, please do subscribe to my channel. I've been collecting wine for more than 15 years and also have a level 4 diploma from the WSET. So I have both formal certification as well as substantial practical knowledge from the School of Hard Knocks. If you haven't tried Riesling from Australia yet, I highly recommend that you do so. One of my favorite sources for high-quality Riesling in Australia is Clare Valley, and there, one of my favorite producers is Pikes. So the next top wine for $30 a bottle is the 2021 Pikes Riesling Traditional. This is a wine that actually sells for closer to $25 than $30, so it's really hard to beat this price point. This wine is bone dry, so it's not sweet at all. Descriptors for this wine include lemon, lime, white peach, citrus blossom, and slate. It has impressive depth and concentration, but also racy acidity, so it creates some intriguing tension in this wine. This is a wine that comes in at 11.5% alcohol by volume, so it's very light and refreshing. It's one you can enjoy immediately, but it will certainly age for a few years as well. One of my favorite red wines from the Douro region that's not a dessert wine like a port is a wine that's called Crianza. That's a wine that's produced by a collaboration between the Pratts and Symington families. That wine sells for far more than the price point for this video, but fortunately, Pratts and Symington also has a second wine for Crianza that's called Postscriptum that does sell for around $30 per bottle. That wine is a full-bodied wine that's impressive in its own right, with an extremely long finish. Postscriptum is a blend that includes around 45% Touriga Nacional, around 1/3 Touriga Franca, and it also has smaller amounts of grapes such as Tinta Cow, Tinta Roriz, and more. This wine has a bit of a savory quality like a Syrah that I enjoy. Descriptors for this wine include black cherry, black currant, violet, and spice mix. It's definitely one that you can enjoy right away, but there's no rush as it'll certainly age for a few years without any difficulty as well. Unfortunately, these days, it's very unusual to be able to get a high-quality champagne at the $30 price point. So what I've started to do instead is explore high-quality sources of Cremant. Like champagne, Cremant is made in the traditional method where the second fermentation takes place in the actual bottle that you purchase. So the next top wine for $30 a bottle is the Henri Champleau Cremant de Bourgogne Brut Authentique. The fruit for this wine comes from Burgundy, more specifically from Mercury, and not from Champagne, but as mentioned, it is made in the same manner as Champagne. This Cremant received an impressive 96-point score from Decanter. It has surprising elegance and finesse. Descriptors include citrus, peach, apple, and brioche, and the alcohol by volume for this wine is 12.5%. If you've been thinking about trying Cremant, but were unsure which ones to try, this is definitely one that I would consider. Unfortunately, it's already 99 degrees in Texas, despite the fact that it's not even July yet. And when it's this hot, as much as I enjoy red wine, I tend to reach for wines that are a little bit lighter. And one of the wines that I've been drinking more frequently lately is Willamette Valley Pinot Noir. So the next top wine for $30 a bottle is the 2021 Chehalem Estate Grown Willamette Valley Pinot Noir from Chehalem Mountains. This is an extremely vibrant, aromatic wine that's really enjoyable to drink. Descriptors include red cherry, raspberry, pomegranate, blood orange, and violet. It's polished and refined, and it received an impressive 93-point score from Wine Spectator. It comes in at 13.5% alcohol by volume. It's one that you can enjoy immediately on a pop and pour, but it will probably last up to 5 to 6 years or so with no problem. Next up is another light red that the producer actually calls a lunchtime red. This is a wine that sells for closer to $25 than to $30, and is another wine you can enjoy immediately. If there's a problem with this wine, it's that it's so gulpable that it will be gone before you know it. This is the 2022 Torbreck Cuvée Juvenile. This wine is a blend that consists of around 45% Grenache, 36% Mataro, which is also known as Mourvèdre, and there's also some Carignan in this one as well. The production method emphasizes the purity of the fruit for this wine as it's matured in neutral oak. As such, there's lots of bright, vibrant fruit. Descriptors include strawberry, red and black currant, and spice mix. As evidenced by this video, even at the $30 price point, you can get wines from some of the very best producers in the world. And so it is with the next top wine for $30 a bottle, which is a wine from iconic Southern Rhone producer, Chateau de Beaucastel, namely the Coudelet de Beaucastel, which is a Côte de Rhone. While I'm talking about the 2021 vintage in this video, this is a wine that's consistently strong year in and year out, so my recommendation is not vintage specific for this one. The 2021 vintage is a blend that consists of equal parts Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre, and there's also 10% Cinsault. Despite the fact this wine is from the Southern Rhone, it has a relatively reasonable 13% alcohol by volume. It's one you can enjoy immediately, but it's certainly capable of aging as well. The vineyard source for this one is located just beyond the Chateauneuf-du-Pape production zone, and that's why they have to label this one a Côte de Rhone. Nevertheless, this is a very enjoyable wine that features red and black fruit, white pepper, mixed spice, and a long finish. You really can't go wrong with this wine at $30 per bottle. If you're interested in learning more about iconic producer Chateau de Beaucastel, or about Chateauneuf-du-Pape generally, please be sure to check out this video that's linked above.